defines the limits. Press overhead, try not to let your back arch. I know when I first started TRX. So maybe we cue out of that previously with our overhead squat. So we're looking to see at the feet, knees.
Welcome to our Wednesday We Speak series here on the NASM and AFAA live channels on social. My name is Katrina Pilkington. I will be your guide or host today as we dive into some really fun ways of kicking off September. And one of those is going to be to introduce you to our world of master instructors, our leaders in our industry here at NASM and AFAA. But first, let me explain to you what is a master instructor. Many people ask me this question when I present workshops, so I want to make sure that we explain who these amazing humans are. And master instructors on both the NASM brand and the AFAA brand are leaders within our brands who've shown expertise in their fields with health and fitness and lend that towards leading workshops and also additional educational opportunities, especially virtually, here as we support all of our fellow humans who have done certifications with our brands. So today, I'm going to introduce you to two master instructors who are going to be our master instructors for the month of September that we just kicked off this week. So crazy. First, I want to introduce you to Prentice Rhodes, who serves as a master instructor for our NASM brand. You may have seen his handsome mug on content that we've had here, sharing information on the OPT model, as well as NASM programming for many of you, as well as working with our product team. And then we have another colleague and friend and sibling here with us, Jay Guillory, who is our master instructor of the month for the AFAA brand, who was our group fitness brand. And he's also been involved in creating content, such as our gear indoor cycling certification. Hello, friends.
Well, hello.
Hi. Hello.
I have people to talk to.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for having me on. And after that introduction, I want to make sure that I can shrink my head back to get it into the frame. So thank you very much. Very kind of you.
And, you know, I know, okay. He's like, hello. Focus and keep this like somewhat like, let's focus on the brand, because we are all friends and colleagues and piggyback off of each other and support each other and stand shoulder to shoulder with everyone in our brands. And I just want this to be a chance to highlight those that lead in those brands. Hey, Jay.
I think that's what's gonna be so hard, is because we're so used to talking to each other on the phone, like casually. Like this is like, okay, this is professional. This is like hold it together.
So I have questions to keep us focused, but I'm gonna let you two siblings, paper, scissors, rock, high five, tag team each other in to answer whichever question first. So the first question, I'll throw that out first, is, well, of course, I said your name, but what is your name and what is your educator role in the respective brand that you represent here on this channel? And how did you land here in this brand?
You know what, Jay? I've not heard your story, so I will let you go first.
That's so Prentice. So Prentice. I'm an AFA master instructor, and I've worked for AFA since 1998. So I've been with AFA for a long time, through a lot of processes, through a lot of things. I am a subject matter expert and a content creator and stuff like that. So that's what I do for the brand. The fitness industry, I got into the fitness industry on a dare from when I was in the Army. This young lady that lived across the hall from me, who has the exact same name as my mom, Edmonia, she dared me to go to a group exercise class. It was the first time I had ever taken a group exercise class. And up until then, she couldn't pay me to do it. And I just went. And from that moment on, I was like, that was a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. It was better than running, because in the Army, we run a lot. So I took the class, and like they had like music like 95 South playing, and I was at Fort Hood, Texas, in this big, huge gym, and it was exactly. So I was like, oh, I'm all for this, because I was it's better than going to the club. So yeah, so every Saturday morning we would do that, and that's how I did it. And then when I went to Korea, to Seoul, Korea, I got certified in Seoul, Korea by one of the members of the Board of Certification and Training at AFAA, Nancy Gillette. And from that moment on, it just became a thing. And when I came back to the States, actually, I started leading aerobics as an alternative to running for the Army. I was basically called the senior aerobics instructor for Korea when I was in the Army. And yeah, that's how I did it. And then when I came back to the States, I didn't know anything about the fitness industry. I just knew what I did in the Army because I was in that bubble. And then when I came back here, it was just this big, huge thing. So I was like, okay, let's try this. And 22 years later, here I am.
I mean, you've got to be like 25. There's no way that you've just started this career.
Well, no, I'm a little older than 25.
Same here, Jay.
I'm just saying, that's why I shaved the hair, because I'm like, that keeps me looking youthful.
And I think that's amazing that you actually certified. So we have international certifications that many people aren't aware of. And that's interesting how you brought it back with you to the States. So that was cool to learn.
Yep. It's been a very great process, and because AFAA led me to being in a co-star in videos. And then I went from videos to working for conventions. Then I went from presenting conventions to learning the back side of conventions and how you put one on and how you coordinate them and stuff like that. So I've had a very blessed career in the fitness industry. AFAA has always been the backbone of what I've done, because I respect the people that created the company. I respect the people, all of my mentors within the company that helped me get to where I am. So that was I just love what we do. Prentice.
Well, that was interesting. And then just as a little aside, before I tell you a little more about me, people out there, we've spent time together with webinars. I just want to say, if you see me running outside, follow me, because something just happened. Something just happened that's not going to be good. Yeah, I'm running from something. So you should follow me. Okay. Yeah. So as Katrina said, my name is Prentice Rhodes, and I've been with NASM for coming up on 10 years now, and I tag team as a master instructor. So I go out and teach workshops. Well, not as much as I used to, but I still teach to you fine people who may be listening. But my main role now is that of a product manager. So I still go out to see you fine people and figure out what you need in your class to help you accelerate your learning. And I take that back to our team with our really smart instructional designers and content developers. And my role is one of the steps in getting the products together that you all consume now. So that's what I do. And I'm excited every time I get a chance to meet one of you. So I started out in the industry, I think as all of us did, first as an athlete. I attempted to play college basketball, but had bad wheels and spent more time on the training table than on the court. And also a lifelong martial artist, which was probably the cause of some of those injuries. So a little history about that. I have black belts in multiple systems. Doesn't mean anything except I just never quit at what I started, but here I am today, 25, and still doing it. So in addition to being an athlete, when I came out of college, I went to chiropractic school and got my degree, and I was practicing in several clinics around the Chicago area, which is where I'm from. And one thing I noticed is that a lot of the people I worked with kept coming back to my table. So that led me to, I understood as an athlete that strength training probably keeps you doing whatever it is you want to do longer. So that led me to research actively some courses that I could take within the fitness industry. And that did lead me to NASM and that the great suite of courses that they had at that time, which was the CPT, of course, and then the corrective exercise specialist, corrective and performance specialist. So I went a different route, and that's how I got into the fitness industry and started training people. And I started mixing both systems to help the people I worked with get back to where they wanted to be. And I got to NASM because I was working with an organization teaching kettlebell courses. And at that time, there were talks of doing a kettlebell class that never came to fruition, but I stayed on as an instructor. And here I am today talking with you fine people.
Kind of comes full circle.
Yeah.
Because I know that you love teaching kettlebell to this day, which I'm not good at. And no, not everybody started as an athlete, Prentice. Actually, away from stuff, I'm running two things. Like I'm running from my responsibilities and then running to like peace and quiet usually most of the time.
I think as we all do.
I think what I love for our audience and our community to realize is that many of us came to this place of becoming a master instructor or an educator through different avenues, but that doesn't mean that we stop teaching, right? Or stop learning, my apologies. So do you guys want to comment on how you feel that being an educator challenges you to also continuously be educated? I said it.
So I'll take that one. I'll take that one first. See, Jay, there's a little reciprocity there. But as an educator, that's a very, I take that responsibility seriously. So every time I go out, have the opportunity to talk in front of people. And even when I'm doing these webinars that you may have seen me in very recently, preparation and reading as much as I can about the topic I take that responsibility seriously. I think I owe that. If I'm going to take the responsibility of standing up in front of people, it is my job to make sure I know as much as I can to help them understand the topic and also fill up any gaps that they have in learning. So that learning process never stops. And I find myself reading, we should 20 minutes a day, but I read something every day to make sure I understand what I'm talking about.
10, 20 minutes. Good tip. Thanks, Prentice.
I honestly couldn't have said that better. I mean, it's the responsibility of standing in front of the room. I have, as long as I've been in the fitness industry, I do have like kind of some people that I go to when I want to know specific subjects, especially like when it comes to exercise physiology or kinesiology or exercise science or program design. Like there are certain people who I will go and find literature on or articles that they've written or even blog posts that they've written on our blog, just to make sure that when I'm a credible source when I'm standing in the front of a room.
You have to constantly be a student. I know as a student, literally right now, that's my goal is to like research and make sure I cite and like am able to kind of, and not necessarily validate, but prove what I'm saying comes from a source instead of just coming out of my little brain all the time.
Right. It's one of the things that I think a lot of people kind of forget sometimes is that we work in a science-based world. Our industry is all science-based. So sometimes we do have to, like, that's what we have to do. We have to go with the science first. I mean, I get it. Social media is out there, and there are a lot of things on social media that people have just come up with out of the air. But our job as fitness professionals is to make sure that what we do is based in science.
Absolutely. That is a huge part of it. You want to understand the science, and you want to make sure that as an instructor, you understand enough about the topic and at such a rigor that you can distill all of that content so that you can kind of say it in English to the people in front of you, because sometimes what we teach can get a little heady, and it's our job to kind of make that digestible and fun for our students there. And the other part that I didn't talk about that's important for me as a teacher is that there's putting yourself in the role of a student every once in a while. And I'm taking 3 classes now. I lost my mind apparently, but here we are. But being in that role gives you a little bit of empathy. So you always understand where the student is coming from. And I think it's very easy that it can be easy that once you attain that expert role, we kind of forget where we've been and forget what those struggles were. And we're teaching kind of like top down, as instead of we were all in this together and I may have taken a few more steps down the road. That's why I've seen a little bit more of the landscape, so I can give you some perspective, but we're all walking the same path.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that I add. Yep, absolutely. That's one of the things that I feel that's another reason why it's important for instructors to continue their learning.
Question, guys. You guys are so like in tune with what I'm going to ask you. It's like you just knew what my questions were going to be. But what would you, so I have it's twofold. I kind of wanted to split up my question, but what advice or tips would you, like your top tips would be for a newly certified AFAA group fitness instructor or NASM specialized individual? And then on the flip side, maybe a top tip for somebody who's been in the game a little longer.
So it's going to be the same tip for both groups. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. The most important person, when we're talking about in any context, in the one-on-one group training or group X context, keep it simple. At the end of the day, you're there to help that person in front of you feel better about themselves and about attaining certain goals in their lives. You want to help them blow off steam from whatever is going on in their lives. Keep it simple. They don't care about said principles. They don't care about program design. They just want to know, do they feel better? Are they getting closer to where they want to be? All of that stuff that we learn, it's important for sure, but that's for you to understand, to make sure that you're delivering something evidence-based. But yeah, it's about the people. Be simple. That's it.
Be a good human, right?
Yes.
Yes. I would have to piggyback off of Prentice and say, my tip would be for both groups, remember, this is a business. Like, you can learn all the science behind why we do what we do and how we do what we do with people, but you have to remember you're a business. This thing is a business. So you got to kind of get your DBAs in order. You got to kind of make sure all your ducks are in order when it comes to how you charge, what you charge, when you charge, where you work, who you work for. Are you contracted? Are you an employee? Like, you have to know the business side of how this whole industry works, because when you don't, you end up in a lot of trouble.
Way. There you go.
Say again?
You learn the opposite way. You learn the wrong way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow, this really opened up a larger discussion, and just adding on to what you said, knowing what you charge, but actually know your worth. If you are a business, just understand what happens in any business that you go into.
Absolutely.
We can't walk into many other industries and ask for free advice. We don't
At
give
all.
necessarily, and there may be certain situations like that, a 30-minute consultation, but then there's going to be some sort of energy in the form of financials exchanged for that relationship to continue. So when you go through these courses, I just want you to understand you have what you need on the science side to get started, but you have to value yourself as a business, as a person, understanding that you are giving something of value to the people in front of you.
I always call
These questions all the time.
In my
Go ahead,
workshops, I always call it an ROI. So it's like when people come in to take the indoor cycling workshop or to take the strength training, the group resistance training workshop, I'm like, okay, so now you've taken this 8-hour course and you've gained all this knowledge and information. It's now time to get the ROI, the return on investment. Now you need to go out and you need to make sure that you put this into practice so you can reap the benefits of why you came here today. Because if you don't, then what was your reason for coming here today? To get more information? I'm like, use this. Like that's the only way it sticks. Because if you just came here and then you never use this information, next year when I do this again in this area, you might be back here again learning the same thing. So it's like it only sticks when you get an opportunity to use it. So figure out ways to use what you've learned.
Mm-hmm.
About your worth. We get these questions all the time in our Facebook community pages. So for those of you watching, just make sure you take the time to thoroughly do your business plan, of course, and then use the resources we've provided on the blog and these videos that we do to continuously understand how to create the business, which is separate from the programming. But before we start chitter chattering, because we will do that, if you guys have questions out there in the interwebs, which is what I like to call where we are in this space, feel free to ask the question on Facebook Live. Okay, I see the question. Over this question.
Okay.
I'll fight Prentice though, because don't forget what he had said about black belts.
It just holds up my pants. All right. So do you want to take this one?
Man, to be perfectly honest with you, I'd have to say it was all God given. I was in the right place at the right time. Like I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. I did a lot of work. I did the grind. I did the teaching 18 classes a week and the volunteering every opportunity that I could and learning as much as I could. Like I think when I came into the fitness industry, I immediately looked at it as a business and I wanted to learn how to do everything. So when opportunities came, it was just one of those things. I just kind of was like, oh, I'm ready to do it. I'm ready to do it. I'll never forget when I applied to be a Reebok master trainer. I think it was in 2000. I sent in a video and I got selected. And I just took a chance. I didn't tell anybody that I was doing it because, in case I failed and in case I did not get it, I didn't want to tell anybody that I didn't get it. So I didn't tell anybody that I did it. But yeah, I just on a whim, I got an email from someone. I think it was Petra, and she told me that they were accepting applications for new master instructors for Reebok, and that's how I did it. I mean, with AFAA, it was more of a thing of I just got noticed in a workshop. I was in a workshop and the presenter noticed me, and she happened to be the person that was in charge of the presenters for AFAA. Her name is Laurie Riemer, and I literally owe everything that I've done to her because she picked me out of a crowd, and we had a 2-hour conversation after the workshop was over, and the next thing I knew, I was in this program. So yeah, that's how it happened for me.
That belief in yourself and then being in the right place at the right time, because your confidence has to come out to a place where I'm worth this. I've done this much work to get to this place. It's going to naturally evolve to this place.
Right. Absolutely.
And I had a very similar situation. I was teaching classes or teaching workshops. So 3-day workshops for another organization. And I was asked, like I mentioned earlier, if I wanted to interview for a master instructor position that was opening up at NASM. So I came here and went through that week of training and then started getting reps. That's essentially what happened. I got reps got better at it. I have to thank my master instructor team, those of you who may be listening, because you really coached me up and made me better at what I did. And as a result of that mentorship that they gave me and that guidance, that led to other opportunities. So through our company, for definitely given opportunities to speak and teach all around the world. So it was kind of being in the right place, the right time, walking through that door, and then have to get your hustle on. You have to
absolutely.
Absolutely. If people knew how many hours it took to prepare,
they have no idea.
A video. I mean, I remember submitting my first video and being like, okay, the lighting's right. I have the right outfit on. Ready, set, go. So it takes a lot of hours of work. It takes a lot of hours of education. And I also wanted to add on, because I know the two of you, that having a supportive circle of colleagues, coworkers, just lifting you up and letting you know the truth when you don't want to hear it, and also letting you know the truth when you don't feel as confident, that is paramount in being successful as a master instructor. I will always tell you what you don't want to hear. Here we go. Yeah, I don't want to mispronounce your name, but very good question. How many hours a day or week do you need to dedicate when starting CPT? Throw it to Prentice.
How many hours? That's so I always start by telling stories. So when you get to my age in the industry, every question is answered with it depends. Now, 25, and I'm not that old, but it depends. So what you're looking for is, when you study, it's going to be that amount of time that it takes you to recall that information and for you to own that information that you're reading. So for some of you, it may be 12 hours a week, and some of you, it may be a lot more. That's something that only you can answer, and that comes from digging in there, studying, and kind of understanding what resonates with you and what are you able to recall and apply. And like Jay mentioned earlier, which is a very good point, every time you read the book, anytime you get to touch that information, that becomes your study time. So if you're studying for this and you're working with your clients, take one of those principles that you learned and put it on the floor.
Absolutely.
So you see how it works. That's what practical application is all about. So, and that's accidental practice. That's not sitting at your desk and regurgitating information just for the purposes of a test, which is important. But your test is out there on the floor, getting your clients to where they need to be. And you want to get some of that accidental practice as well as dedicated study time. That answer is, as far as the length, is up to you.
To being a hands-on learner, like I know many folks are on the group fitness side as well, which Jay can attest to. Like, that's why workshops were so imperative, but you can do them virtually and come to Optima in October. But continuously learning with other individuals and practicing, not just reading, because I don't learn that way. And I got here somehow, so I mean, practice.
Practice.
We have one more question. And any questions we don't touch on, we can comment on in the Facebook page. FYI, everybody, best advice as a newer CPT. I'm going to say newer CPT or group fitness instructor that still stands today. You guys said keep it simple, so you can't use that one.
I will talk to Georgia, because I recognize the name. Georgia has done some work for us as one of our reviewers for the new CES course. So welcome, Georgia. Nice to see that you're on here today. The advice for new CPTs that still stands today is there's a little acronym, KYP. KYP, know your personnel. So we have this framework of stuff that we do, from program design to exercise technique. But remember, you're training for the person that's in front of you, and you're going to have to modify it. You're going to have to modify things a little bit. You're going to have to stretch the rules a little bit to create an environment that's safe for the person in front of you, and not safe to the point that we want to restrict them. We don't want to put this person in a box where they can't enjoy life, because that's kind of a depressing training situation. But we want to, know your person well enough so that you can stretch the rules and work within their capabilities so you can still have fun. That's what it's about.
What about you, Jay, for group fitness, especially for those individuals who I know are asking tons of questions about the virtual space and being online? What about?
Whoa, that's a never-ending question. But I would have to say, be confident. Use the skills that you have. I always tell people we have in group fitness, we have so many different modalities to teach, whether it's kickboxing or HIIT training or Tabata training. So I always say, go with what you're great at and build your confidence there. And then every now and then intersperse that with small doses of things that you may not be so comfortable with, because that helps you get comfortable with them, but still remain inside of the bubble of what you're comfortable doing.
Because it's very easy to get overwhelmed with all of this information.
Absolutely.
And with being overwhelmed, I feel like we could have kept talking, which we will. We can continue this conversation in the comment section and on the Facebook page, as well as when this crosses over to Instagram. And then there is there the place where Prentice and Jay, you guys can add on your social media handles, or where people can keep in touch and follow you?
Sure.
Follow me.
When he's running, follow him.
Follow me. You can follow me when I'm running. Follow me on Instagram. That is at Dr. It's all spelled out, at Dr. P. Rhodes, Rhodes. Actually, I'll type that in the chat, and maybe our producer, the man in the middle behind the scenes there, always want to give him a shout out. He can post this for you. And I should have worn my glasses because I can't see what I'm doing.
Prentice can't see.
And on Instagram, I wish I was as professional as Prentice, Dr. P. Rhodes. I'm the real JG. TherealJaigee. The real JG.
Group fitness.
Right. So you've given me the homework of finding the fake JG. I'm gonna figure that out when we get off the call.
When we get off our call. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I hope that you can come back every Wednesday and get a little feel for our NASM and AFAA family, as we are a community working together to help individuals get well, even in a virtual space. Any ideas and thoughts on the show, please comment them in the video pages. And we just want to thank everyone who made this possible, our producer behind the scenes, and for everybody watching. Thanks, everyone. Congrats, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.